move on to discuss the different organ systems of the human body. There are some shared properties among living organisms. The human body is very complex and specialized, although we do share some fundamental processes amongst other living organisms. For example, the responsiveness to a changing environment, growth and differentiation, the ability to reproduce, the ability to move, and metabolic processes and the excretion of waste products. The organ systems of the human body. In this tutorial, we'll use a standard organization of 11 organ systems. These systems function both independently and together to maintain homeostasis. The individual organ systems can respond to changes and the different requirements that are placed on those systems. We'll now provide an overview of each organ system and its major functions. The Wheel of Human Systems. This is a useful tool for learning and memorizing the different systems within the human body. First, the muscular system, urinary system, respiratory system, digestive system, endocrine system, and the reproductive system, skeletal system, lymphatic system, and the integumentary system, the nervous system, and the cardiovascular system. The 11 human systems can be memorized and learned using the acronym MERDERS Link, as well as a wheel of human systems. The first body system we'll discuss is the integumentary system. This is made up of the hair, the skin, including dermis and epidermis, and nails, such as fingernails. The integument forms a protective barrier around the internal organs and cavities of the body. The integument is a living, growing system that can adapt to changes. The next organ system we'll discuss is the skeletal system. This diagram depicts the major bones in the skeletal system. Bones of the skull and face, the arm and rib cage, the spinal column, bones of the pelvis, and in the leg. The skeletal system has two major divisions, the axial skeleton and the appendicular skeleton. The functions of this system include support, strength, and protection for underlying organs. Within the medullary cavity of certain bones, hematopoiesis or blood formation takes place. The skeletal system also provides for calcium storage. As we mentioned, the skeletal system is divided into the axial and appendicular skeleton. The axial skeleton include bones of the skull and face, the rib cage, and the spinal column. These bones provide a strong focal point and support for the body. They also protect key organs such as the heart and lungs. The appendicular skeleton represents the majority of the bones in the body, and its purpose is for mobility. The bones of the upper and lower limbs and pelvic girdle provide for locomotion as well as manipulation of objects. The next organ system we'll discuss is the muscular system. There are over 600 skeletal muscles in our body, and they provide strength, protection for the underlying tissues, and support. Shown here in the diagram are some example muscles. From the head and neck, the occipital frontalis muscle and the sternocleidomastoid muscle. From the chest, the pectoralis major muscle. From the abdomen, the rectus abdominis muscle. And from the legs, the sartorius muscle. The skeletal muscles can be divided into axial muscles and appendicular muscles, much like the skeletal system. Muscle contraction through sliding filaments leads to the movement of objects as well as the human body itself. Muscle contraction, movement of limbs, and the function of other body organ systems are controlled by the nervous system. The major components of the nervous system are the brain, spinal cord, and peripheral nerves. The nervous system sends and receives information to the brain. There are two major divisions, the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. The major cell type are the neurons, and along with their supportive cells, the nervous system provides control, for the muscular system as well as other body organ systems. The peripheral nervous system connects the central nervous system and the muscles, as well as organs of the body. Peripheral nerves send and receive impulses from the periphery about such things as pain, sensation, and temperature. Shown here in the diagram are two example peripheral nerves in the hand region, the median nerve and the ulnar nerve. This information is sent to the central nervous system, which includes the brain and the spinal cord. The major divisions of the spinal cord include the cervical, thoracic, lumbar, and the sacral, where the conus medullaris is. The central nervous system is the control center for the body. The brain performs complex integration and controls the activities, sending signals via the peripheral nervous system to the periphery for both voluntary and involuntary processes to take place. Chemical mediators known as hormones are secreted and produced by the endocrine system. The major organs of the endocrine system include the pituitary gland, the thymus gland, the thyroid gland, the adrenal glands on top of the kidney, the pancreas, and in the male the testes, and in the female the ovaries. The endocrine system delivers hormones to target tissue via the circulation. In the bottom right diagram is an enlargement of the pituitary gland and the sella turcica, the bone that it fits in. The cardiovascular system. The diagram on the right depicts the major components of the cardiovascular system. Central is the heart, which pumps the blood and generates the blood pressure. The aorta, which is the major artery off the heart, and the blood vessels that feed and supply the neck and head are the jugular vein and carotid arteries. Within the abdomen is the inferior vena cava, which brings blood back to the heart, and the descending aorta, which takes blood pumped by the heart out to the lower body. The cardiovascular system transports oxygen, nutrients, and waste. The heart is the center. It pumps the blood and generates blood pressure to drive the blood through the vessels. Blood is transported in blood vessels to the lungs for oxygenation, to the intestines for digestion and absorption. The next major organ system we'll discuss is the lymphatic system. The major organs are the thymus and spleen. Also part of this system are lymph nodes spread throughout the body and lymphatic vessels. The lymphatic system contains lymph, which is a fluid that circulates. Within it are contained lymphocytes. The function of the lymphatic system includes monitoring the circulation for pathogens, the recycling of red blood cells, and it's central to the human immune response. Also, the thymus is where T cells mature as part of immune functions when exposed to antigens. Now let's look at the respiratory system. Using the diagram, the respiratory system includes the following: the nasal cavity, as well as the pharynx, the larynx and trachea, the bronchi, which lead to the lungs. The respiratory system functions by bringing in oxygen through inspired air, which moves into the blood to circulate to the tissues. The respiratory system also functions by removing carbon dioxide. The nasal cavity filters, warms, and humidifies the inspired air. The inspired air then passes through the pharynx into the larynx and trachea. The trachea filters the air and traps foreign particles in the mucus. The next body organ system we'll discuss is the digestive system. This image shows the major components: salivary glands in the oral cavity, the pharynx, the liver on the right side of the body, and the stomach towards the middle and left, the small and large intestines. The digestive system is responsible for the digestion and absorption of food, liquids, and nutrients. Beginning in the oral cavity, enzymatic activity starts to break down starches. From the esophagus, food passes next into the stomach. In the stomach, food is digested with the aid of hydrochloric acid mixing and churning actions. Along with the gastrointestinal system, waste products are excreted from the body through the urinary system. This image shows the anatomy of the urinary system in the male. The kidneys, the ureters, which are connected between the kidneys and the bladder, and the urethra, which delivers the urine out of the body. This system is responsible for eliminating waste as well as excess fluid and ions such as salts. The urinary system is very similar in both males and females. The major difference is the urethra is much shorter in females. The kidneys produce urine by filtering blood constantly. The ureters deliver the filtrate to the bladder for storage. The last step in the elimination process is passage of the urine through the urethra. As mentioned, the urinary system in females is similar except the urethra is shorter. Also, another key difference is that in the female, the urinary system only transports urine, whereas in the male, it also functions as part of the reproductive system by transporting semen and sperm. The last body organ system we'll discuss is the reproductive system, beginning with the male. Referring to the image, the corpus cavernosum is the blood-filled sac that leads to an erection in males. At the end of the penis, it's known as the glans penis or the head of the penis. Within the scrotum are the testicles and the epididymis. The prostate gland in males contributes to seminal fluid. The reproductive system provides the necessary internal and external genitalia along with key hormones. In the male, the testes produce sperm and hormones. The sperm travel out of the male in the ejaculate, which is made up of semen from the seminal glands. The sperm duct is the route the sperm take from the production site in the testes to join the semen for ejaculation. The prostate gland adds fluid and enzymes to the seminal fluid. The female reproductive system includes the fallopian tube and ovary, the uterus, the cervix, and the vagina. In the female, the internal and external genitalia as well as the mammary glands in the breast are part of the reproductive system. The ovaries produce oocytes and female sex hormones. The oocytes are transported through the fallopian tube during the menstrual cycle into the uterus. Inside the uterus is where the embryo develops if fertilization takes place. The vagina is the canal where the sperm is deposited. The external genitalia in the female include the clitoris, which produces pleasurable sensations, and the labia, which function to lubricate the first portion of the vagina.